Welcome back to Curated by Culture and Happy New Year. I'm your curator, Cassandra. Thank you as always for joining me. Um, a few people DM'd me and were like, "What happened? I thought you said, you were going to wrap up this season. You have more episodes." I do. I promise I do. I had pre-recorded episodes that are great, and I might still use at some point, but they might become audio only episodes. But I wanted to make sure that since I was wrapping up the podcast and this was going to be my last season, that I was like sharing good, informative, and new fresh material, because some of these were recorded like in 2023, and a lot of not my perspective or my thoughts, but just some of the things I want to share have changed. And since now I am deciding to end it for a while, maybe not forever, but for a while, um I want to make sure that it's good information, that I do what I set forth to do. And so there's that. And then Happy New Year. Those who know. For those of you who don't know, I'll share this little joke I always have. I always say that the greatest April Fool's day joke that the government has played is convincing us that January 1st is the start of the new year. If we look towards nature, if we look towards ourselves, inside of ourselves, who wants to start new things in the middle of winter? January 1st is freezing. Like, it doesn't make sense. I think like January 1st is the beginning of a fiscal year. It makes good fiscal sense to start then, and then, or something else. Maybe it's something to do with crops. Who knows? I don't know why they chose it. I know the story of January. I mean, I know why or when January 1st started, but if you ask me, it's not natural to begin on the new year. And I've read enough to know that April 1st is really the start of the new year. But again, you're going to call me a conspiracy theorist when I'm just telling the truth. So we'll pass by, but Happy New Year for those of you who know, especially if you look towards nature. Everything's new. Everything new comes April 1st, everything new starting. And I just thought how coincidental that this year, 2024, that April 1st is the day after Resurrection Sunday. And I was like, wow, look at that. It's all aligning. And, if you have been listening to me for some time, especially in this season, or if you're somebody who's like mindful or spiritual or grounded, I've been talking about the shift. Like, maybe you feel it, maybe you don't, no judgment if you don't. But if you feel the shift, you know what I'm talking about. Like, we're definitely entering into a new time. We are definitely witnessing empires fall, colonialism, capitalism, imperialism. We're watching those things fall, which is a good thing. Like, none of this is normal. How we've been conditioned to live and exist in this world is not normal. Not in America anyway. Maybe everywhere else. Not really. I would say no. We're watching a new time all around the country, all around the world. We're watching a lot of new things happen. And I think it's for the greater good, honestly. I do have my doubts about humanity, but I believe in the greater good. Anyway, today I want to talk about today's episode. Let me stay focused because I could talk about that forever. I was watching Mad Max during this last month. I was working, but also resting. I am very, 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 very serious about my rest. And so I was taking some time off from doing things to just kind of do other things and focus on personal things. And in my time, I was rewatching a lot of movies. I rewatched the Book of Eli, which I want to talk about on another episode. Or maybe I'll bring it up on this episode. We'll see. I rewatched Mad Max, and there was a quote in it that kind of led me to, I want to talk about that a little bit more, especially in this new season. So in the movie, I don't remember. I think it's at the end, but I wrote it down, so I want to read it. He says, "Where must we go? We who wander this wasteland in search of our better selves." And to me, and I could be wrong, but my interpretation of it, and of course, art is subjective, so we're all allowed to interpret that however we want. Where must we go, we who wander this wasteland in search of our better selves? I think in the movie, they are searching for, these people. I think in the second one, I know there's two versions of it. I think in the second one, the first one had Tina Turner in it. I should rewatch that. Okay, sorry. I'll easily get sidetracked if I start thinking about that. The one with Charlize Theron. She spent most of the movie searching for these women that she remembered. And she finally gets there and they're like, oh, everything's gone, right? And then they spend time trying to get back to where they came from because there's water and there's people and they didn't want to just die out in the desert. So the quote, where must we go, we who wander this wasteland in search of our better selves, hit me because I was like, you go in, right? And how perfect in alignment in this time of our lives for us to go in. When I started this podcast, it was really to talk about our better selves, right? How many times have you heard me say, greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world? I've probably said it 1,000,000 times. You would think that's my favorite scripture. Maybe it is. My sister asked me that question the other day. What's your favorite scripture? Maybe it might be that, young. But uh greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. And when I thought about that quote, I thought about that. I thought about the newness that we're entering into. And I thought about the people that I don't want to get left behind because I think about that. I think about all of us when I do this podcast, but I think about the fact that we've been so conditioned to accept our brokenness as this is what it is. This is it. This is, this is what you have to endure. This is what you have to go through. And that's not true. I'm a firm believer that things happen for us, not to us. You know, I have this tattoo on me that it says kintsukuroi, which means it's the tradition, the Japanese tradition that anything broken can be made new and more beautiful, because the Japanese believe in kintsukuroi that they take the gold and they take broken pottery and they make it more beautiful. And I believe the same for God. I believe God does the same for us. So things do happen to us, technically, quote unquote, but they happen for us. How many people have you met? How many stories do we know from the Bible, of people who weren't that great, but God took that not greatness, the story of Moses, the story of any story from the Bible, with the exception of Jesus. And they weren't that great or things happened to them, but he took it and he turned it around for their goodness, for their greatness. And I believe the same for us, a lot of us, all of us. Something I always say is we all have something to heal from. I was having this conversation recently with somebody, and I was like, well, the first step to finding your higher self is finding the thing that broke you and fix it. A lot of times that takes us going inside. Season 1, all of that probably, I think a lot of people might listen to season 1 and be like, oh, it'll seem obvious. What's obvious to some is not obvious to others, which is why I always say common sense isn't so common. But we're all broken from something, and little do we ever take the time to really go back, think about what happened to us, heal ourselves so we can move forward. But we can take those things that broke us and turn it around for our greatness. I believe for a lot of us, that is where our greatness comes from. Like, this happened to me. Look at any of your favorite rappers, actors, or anybody who started with nothing and is now so easily able. Like, I think Viola Davis came from a really rough beginning, right? And she went through a lot in her life, but look at her, how she's able to channel all of those emotions into her acting. That is how you bring the greatness out of you. That is how God has created us. He's like, these things are going to happen. You have to kind of experience these things in order to be the person that I created you to be. And I really do believe that. And I think that in this new season, that is the message that I want to share. Like, listen back to my season 1 episodes where it might feel very elementary, some of the things that I'm saying. It's like, oh, this happened to you at the playground, but it didn't happen to you. It happened for you. It happened to build your self-esteem. It happened to show you a different lens. It happened to create a stronger character. It could have happened for anything. All those different things that we have experienced in our lives, we must take the time to heal from. If we do not heal from those things, we will continue to live a life of brokenness. We will continue to choose the wrong people out of brokenness. Oh, this happened to me when I was this age and ever since. And if you ever look at somebody who's like, that's just how I am. That's what happened to you. That's not how you are. There's greatness in every single one of us. God has created us in his image. He creates greatness in us. And because of that, we can say, okay, this happened to me, and maybe that's how I used to be, and that's how I operated because I needed to operate that way to kind of exist, to kind of keep going, to kind of, push through. But that's not how you have to operate. You have to dig deep inside yourself to find that level of empathy that's needed in today's, especially in today's world. With empathy is so lost. Like I talked about that before too, right? Where I said the thing about that I think only 4% of the world is truly empathetic. And that's just crazy to me, because have we not all experienced moments where we needed that love, that warmth, that care, that empathy? P.S. I'm fasting right now, so if you hear my stomach growl, it's because I'm fasting, not because I'm hungry. It's not anything else. Like I'm fasting. I just heard my own stomach growl. It's like, oh, I'm pretty sure the microphone picked that up. Anyway, but to search for that newness, we have to understand that there's some place that we need to heal. A lot of times we don't understand that, and we're trying to just jump to the next level. We're trying to be the greatest, and we keep buying these master classes. We're buying these courses. We're going to these churches with these false prophets who I've told you before. A lot of these men just have audacity. They don't have a truthful message. They don't have anything greater than anything that you can't find yourself. Everything you're searching for, I've told you this at the end of season 2, it's in the Bible. You can use the Bible as a tool to get closer to God. That's what it's for. Find out who is God, what is God, who am I through God. It's all in the Bible. But these pastors will sell you a course, a master class. You're buying master classes from scammers, Scamlanta. You're buying master courses from scammers, and you're like, nothing's changing. I want to make more money. I want to be a millionaire. I want to do this. I want to do that. All those things are already inside of you. It's just that you haven't taken the time to get to know yourself. You haven't taken the time to listen to God to get there. And that's where we are in this world right now. We need to take time to listen to God. We need to take time to find out who we are. We are not doing that anymore. We live in this digital society where everything is fast, fast, fast. I need it right now. I need to know right now. I needed it yesterday. And no one's stopping anymore to take the time to fix themselves, to work on the broken parts in themselves, to heal from things. It's like, the people who jump in and out of relationships and they're like, oh, I'm so miserable, I'm so lonely. Yeah, if you ever feel lonely by yourself, it's because you haven't taken the time to get to know God. There is peace that you can find within yourself. There is peace you must find within yourself to be able to properly operate in a relationship with somebody else. Don't miss that, right? We jump in and out of relationships because we're seeking for somebody, but the person that we're seeking for is ourselves. We don't even realize that because we have been conditioned this way. Oh, if you're by yourself, you're lonely. If you go on your trips by yourself, you're lonely. People are scared to sit at bars by themselves, to sit and have a meal by themselves. And I've been saying this in season 1. You have to get to know yourself first in order to be able to fully operate in a relationship with somebody. Because if you don't know who you are, anytime you get into a relationship, and I don't just mean like romantic, I even mean like friendships. I even mean like platonic relationships. I mean any relationship, a few things will happen. One, you will kind of start to turn into that person if you don't know who you are, right? I think I talked about this before, where sometimes I see people who don't know who they are and they become friends with somebody and now they become like that person. It's like, well, that's not who you are. That's not who you were. Or if you ever see somebody who's constantly changing and, oh, yes, evolution is a must. And yes, we should always be evolving. But at the core of who we are, if we know who we are, that person is always there. I'm just growing. Like, this is who you see today is who I've always been. I've always known who I am. I have no problem doing things by myself. I have no problem being alone. I've not always been the greatest. It's like the saint is just a sinner. I'm not the greatest person. I'm not telling you I'm perfect, but God has taken the broken parts of me and he's made it better and better. And I, as I've evolved and as I've grown and as I've gotten closer to him and my walk with him, I can tell you that the greatest parts are starting to come out of me. I love the person I am becoming and I continue to become because we're growing every day. We will be growing until the day that we die, right? So it's important that as we grow, we let go of the parts that broke us. We let go of the parts that hurt us and we become these new people and we get closer to who we are, like who we truly are, who he created us to be. And that takes time. That takes, commitment. The biggest commitment it takes is choosing to silence the outside noise, choosing to silence what we've been taught, choosing to silence this digital era we live in. Like, I always tell people the first step to healing is turning off social media, because you're never going to find you if you keep looking on there. Okay. And that's the biggest, to me, that's the biggest part of it. And people say, no, you don't have to do that. If you have a business that requires that social media is fully dependent on, I understand. But if I also understand this, if your business is a business of value, you taking some time from social media will not destroy your business. I'm going to call that a fact. Like, I have not really been posting on social media. I have not been since like 2020, and my business has thrived because I bring value to my clients. I've talked about that on episode 10. I remember all my episode 10s are my business episode. It's such a smart thing that just happened coincidentally. But I talked about the adding value. If you add value to people, you can sustain a business without having to constantly be on social media. I think social media is really what is killing society, what has killed our culture in a way, what has killed a lot of people in a way. And I don't mean that in the physical, though I do mean it in the physical. Some people have died because of, bullying on social media and things like that. But I think it's killed society in a way of empathy. We lack empathy. Like, I can tell you that we look at things now and we're watching what's happening in the world, and people are able to watch it and just keep posting. And that's like weird to me. It really is. And I'm trying to kind of not talk about it so much because I know people are like, oh, we're so tired of it, and it is what it is. And, maybe we have to let the prophecy play out or whatever it is. But it's, to me, it's not. I literally will take some time daily, weekly, bi-weekly, depends on where I am. If I see stuff that's happening, I will still cry and pray, and I'm like, I can't believe this is still happening. But I believe that is what we've witnessed, what we're witnessing. That's why it's important, as you heal yourself to and you want to work on yourself, and you really want to go inwards, you kind of have to talk to God, and you have to turn social media off. You have to turn it off, because what you're searching for is not there. It's inside. It's in you. It's not on you. It's not in there. It's not on there. It's inside of you. And for that, it takes telling the truth. There's a quote, I wrote it down. Don't ask me who said it, but it says, who wrote it? I just remember writing it down. Or who said it, should I say? The degree to which a person can grow is directly proportional to the amount of truth that they can handle about themselves without running away. And I thought about that as it pertains to this episode and how true it is. It's like a lot of times we look at ourselves and we kind of hide those nasty parts of ourselves. We kind of don't want to talk about those parts of ourselves. It's like the tradition in the Black family. Like, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. And it's really a downfall. It's really to our detriment that we have done that. We need to talk about the things that have happened to us, the not so nice looking parts of us, the ugly parts of us. We need to talk about them. Maybe you don't have to talk about them out loud. Maybe it's hard to talk about them with people, or a therapist. I think I always say therapy is good. Therapy is only one part of healing, though. There are other parts of healing that are required, but we have to talk about them out loud, even if just to God. Anytime I build a meditation room for somebody, even my own space of meditation, I put the plants there. Plants are living things, just like we are living things, and they absorb negative energy and positive energy. Like, I talk to my plants every day. When I open the curtains, I open the drapes, I open the blinds, I say something to them. I say, hey, good morning. I look and check if they need water, if they need this or that. And I think people think it's weird. I love plants, but it's funny enough, I didn't always love plants. I used to always have plants because my mom bought me plants, my sisters bought me plants, but I was like, yeah, I kept them. I took care of them. As I've gotten older and I've gotten to this season of understanding living things, not understanding them to that, I always understood they were living, but how they affect us and how they affect the energy, they absorb that stuff. So it's important that, we talk to somebody about those things. We talk to somebody about the things that broke us. We talk to somebody about the things that hurt us, because taking that pain out of you and putting it out there and releasing it is so important to your healing. It is so important that we understand that as we are evolving, as time is shifting, as the world is changing, there is a greatness in every single one of us. We need to have the audacity. I tell my friend Tracy all the time, have the audacity. We need to have the audacity to be okay with saying, this happened to me. It was uncomfortable. I did not like it. It made me feel this way. And you can talk to God about this. Like, God, these things happened to me. And the more you talk, and the more you talk out loud, the more you talk to your plants, the more you talk and you let go of that stuff and you bring that stuff out. Yes, there might be tears. Yes, it might be painful, but the more you can listen and hear for God, the more you push it and suppress it and act like it's not happening, and you let it empower you, you let what happened to you take over you, you are saying, oh, I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. I want to talk about it. And I think that's the negative. I think we need to break those empty and old habits. We need to leave those in January 1st time or 2023 time. And we need to enter this new season with the thought and the knowledge and the knowing that there is greatness in us, that we can overcome those things, that we do not need a class, a pastor, or anybody else out there. We need God. That is the one thing we need. We need God. This world has lost its way. It's become godless. And in the process, we're watching this godlessness unfold. It is a time to repent. It is a time to ask for grace. It is a time to ask for forgiveness. It is a time for prayer and fasting. That's why I'm fasting now. It is a time for prayer and fasting. It is a time for newness. There is a newness that is coming. You know, even if we look to the Bible and we're like, oh, Revelation says this is going to happen. This is and Judgment Day. And judgment. Yes, Judgment Day has to come. It's a prophecy. It was written many, 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 many years ago. Judgment Day does have to come. But for us, those of us who believe, those of us who are in tune spiritually, those of us who are grounded, those of us who understand the Bible, who have been reading the Bible, who have taken the Bible as their instruction before leaving this planet, right? Basic instruction before leaving this planet, this earth, I should say, but planet, same thing. We need to understand. Those of us who have read it understand this newness must come. This judgment must come. And in that, we are all made new. In Resurrection Sunday, it is the I always say, and this is not a Bible, this is not a law, this is not a prophecy, this isn't something I've learned religiously. You know, people who know me know I don't go to a physical church. The church is already in me. God is in me. So that is my guide. He is my guide. I wish I could find a great pastor who can share messages and preach a message, but so far I've not found anybody. So if you know somebody, I do. Oh, I'm lying. I'm so sorry. Pastor Neville Johnson, Life Giving Church of God, my mom's church. But it's a little too far for me. One, two, you know, I'm a different type of girl. I don't know if I'm even set forth for a church. I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole of that because you guys can be like, this girl's so all over the place. Anyway, but you know, if for us believers and people who read the Bible, I'm sorry, I already lost track of what I was saying. Who read the Bible, we understand what Judgment Day means. We're not scared of it. And so I see a lot of fear mongering. I see a lot of people saying, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. Yeah, you should always prepare. I think preparation isn't so much in the physical things that you need. I noticed that they're talking about the great eclipse on April 8th and how you should be scared. Listen, we should always be prepared. We should always have food and water in our houses. When they do that to you and they tell you run out and get food and water, and everybody runs out, and gets food and water and toilet tissue, and we run out of things, I think it's so weird. It's like, that's like a great capitalist trick. Make sure everybody goes and gets food and water so that we can sell those things off the shelves. Like, they're poisoning our water. So don't do that. You know, get a water filter and just have it in your house so you always have water. But I see a lot of talk about April 1st and now the CERN, the Switzerland CERN, and people are fear mongering into this and fear mongering into that. Those of us who are spiritually grounded really feel a sense of peace. And I hope you can find the sense of peace in knowing that some things have to happen. Some things will happen. I don't know that they will happen on April 8th. I think we are witnessing the beginning of those times. But greater than all of that, the real preparation is this. God is asking you to heal from those things that broke you. Heal to those things that happened for you, not to you, but happened for you. Heal from those things, understand them, address them, and grow. Grow into the person He wants you to be in this new season. He wants us all to pull out that greatness in us that He's already put in us. There is a greatness in each and every single one of us walking this planet. And sure, that if you believe in good, you have to believe in in evil. So Lucifer also says the same to his children. He also says, "Oh, there's great evil in you," and we have also experienced that. For us, for those of us who are choosing to be and walk into our higher selves and step into our higher selves, especially in this new season, I'm urging you to prepare in that way. Prepare yourself. Fast, pray, heal from the things that broke you. Talk about the things that broke you. If you can't physically talk to somebody, write it down. Talk to the plants. Talk to God. You know, God's love is like air. Even if you can't feel it, I mean, even if you can't see it, it's there. His love is like air. You can't see it, like it's not something you can physically see. I think I can see it though, because I look around me all the time and I'm like, wow, God loves me. But it's there. It's in the air. It's everywhere. God's love is everywhere and He really wants this for you. I can't urge people enough about the goodness of walking into this higher self, into this person that God created me to be, and how at peace I feel when everything around this is going crazy, when everything around me is going crazy. I'm like, I walk with intention. I walk with the intention that God put in me. And I know that there's a version of me, maybe 5, 6, and even 10 years ago, that would not have, that would have fell into certain things, that would have followed certain things, that would have been a certain way, that would have been, oh, I'm looking for this, I'm searching, I'm buying every course, a masterclass. I signed up for, back then, I would sign up for things like, oh, I'm trying to, I don't know, when you feel stuck, that's what that is. It's time for you to sit down, unstick yourself, heal from the things that broke you, unbreak yourself. No one else can do it for you but you. There's no apology that someone can give you that will do that for you. There's nothing that anybody can physically do that will do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. You have to trust in the process. You have to trust in God. You have to believe in His goodness, and believe that what He has brought you to, He will bring you through as well. So that was my first message of this new year. This is the new year for me, whether it's for you or not. That's none of my business. But I hope you understand that. I hope you absorb that. I hope you hear that. I hope this message resonates with you. I am back. I am going to finish season 3. I had asked on Instagram for topics that people wanted to hear. You all sent me some great topics. We're going to talk about love languages. The love illusion does not end. So just understand that. I will continue on the love illusion. Everything will be about love. I want my love to be my legacy. I want you guys to feel my love. I want love to take over the world. That's what the world needs, especially now, especially as we walk into this new season of life for all of us. This is a new season. Judgment Day will mark the beginning of newness. You're free to believe whatever you want to believe. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I'm just here to share what has been put on my heart with you. And let me read. I did write notes, but I only read my quotes. Mad Max, healing. That's it. That was it. I did talk about everything for the first time. I wanted to. There was something I wanted to talk about. Oh yes, on the computer love thing. This is just a sidebar. What we're watching now is exactly what I want to finish expressing when I talk about computer love, which was my last episode that I ended it with. Please don't be fooled by media and how they play things, right? We are watching something that had to come to light eventually with this whole Diddy situation. I'm not here to speak negatively about him. I mean, I have my feelings, but this is not the episode for that. But please stay focused. It's easy to for everybody to jump and pay attention to other things and stray from other things. And that's a trick that the media has always played on us. That's the digital trick. That's the trick that they've always played. They want you to be distracted from these things so that they could do these things. A lot of things are happening. I'm going to keep sharing. I am sharing those on my Instagram. I'm constantly sharing little things that are happening around the world. I will continue to do that. I hope you are paying attention, but please don't be distracted by that. That is the computer love trick. That is a digital trick that they have played on us since the beginning of time. And I don't want us to be lost in that. Anyway, thank you as always for joining me. Welcome back. Happy New Year. All the good things. I don't know what else to say. I love you, Ma. And never forget to say free Palestine, please. And free Haiti and Congo and every place else, all of the oppressed places.